You're listening to Rod Wolf on the Lehigh Valley's original Sunday Night Hall of Fame.
WAEB.
The greatest hits of all time from the station that made them famous. WAEB.
In his song American Pie in 1971, Don McLean paid tribute to the man whose death inspired the song, The Day the Music Died. It stands as a classic tribute to one of rock and roll's greatest heroes. Tonight, Don McLean's going to join us along with the Jordanaires and the Crickets. Don McLean.
Long, long time ago, I can still remember how that music used to make me smile. And I knew if I had my chance that I could make those people dance, and maybe they'd be happy for a while. But February made me shiver with every paper I delivered. Bad news on the doorstep. I couldn't take one more step. I can't remember if I cried when I read about his widowed bride, but something touched me deep inside the day the music died. So bye-bye, Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. Them good old boys are drinking whiskey and rye, singing, this'll be the day that I die. This'll be the day that I die. Did you write the book of love? Do you have faith in God above? If the Bible tells you so, how do you believe in rock and roll? Can music save your mortal soul? And can you teach me how to dance real slow? Well, I know that you're in love with him, 'cause I saw you dancing in the gym. You both kicked off your shoes. I think those are rhythm and blues. With a pink carnation and a pickup truck, but I knew I was out of luck the day the music died. I started singing, bye bye Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. The good old boys are drinking whiskey and rye, and singing, this'll be the day that I die. This'll be the day that I die. Now for 10 years.
That's the first tour I'd ever been on. I didn't know what was good or bad, but I realized pretty quick that was going to get pretty rough. You know, just a few days after we got started, we were going right down the road and froze up. That bus was gone, and we had to get a converted school bus, which was probably one of the reasons the Big Bopper wanted to fly, you know. And when we got to Clear Lakes, Buddy had chartered the plane for me and him and Tommy also. And so Big Bopper had the flu, and he was a big man anyway, and you know those little seats in those school buses, there was no way he was going to get any rest. And he just come and asked me, he said, I'm feeling terrible and I'd like to get in and get some rest, and would it be all right with you? And I said, well, if it's all right with Buddy, it's all right with me.
Singing, this'll be the day that I die. This'll be the day that I die.
When I found out about it, and I just wanted to go home. That was all, you know, because, I mean, I was pretty young and had never really faced anything like that. I just didn't even mess around with the guitar for a couple of years, you know. And you know, I felt guilty. I don't know how you blame yourself for things like that, but I mean, you know, I just felt terrible about the whole thing and didn't want any more to do with it, you know.
It was real sad. We, of course, it's kind of hard to talk about it even yet.
Yeah, it was terrible. It was terrible. It took me 10 years before I could listen to the radio.
Same with me.
Buddy. And I just loved music before that, but I didn't even want to hear music after that.
It's only in the last year or two that I began to try to learn any of Buddy's songs to sing myself, and it's just been too hard. I stumble over the words, and some of them very simple lyrics, and I can't remember them, and maybe subconsciously I don't want to. I don't know.
Of course, it was a very sad day. There was snow on the ground here a little bit, but the sun was shining. But it was a sad day. We couldn't believe it at first.
I had gone home for lunch that day from the job where he tried to find me, and I got home. My wife told me, "You better change your clothes and get over to your mother's house. Your brother's been killed." And it felt like falling through the floor, of course. But I was in a state of shock for several days after that. I guess I functioned. I don't know.
Mrs. Sullivan called and said, "Where we listen to the radio?" And I said, "No." And she says, "You're not?" And I said, "Why?" And she said, "Well, they're playing some of Buddy's music." And I said, "Oh, well, we hear that a lot." She says, "Well, I just wondered if you'd turned your radio on," says you might turn it on. She had heard the news about Buddy's plane crash. So we turned it on, and that's the first thing we heard was, "There's been a small plane crash up in Iowa, and it's rumored that Buddy Holley was one of the occupants." It's the first thing we heard when we turned it on. It was hard for me to even tell that man.
I think we would have gotten back together because we were somewhat in the process of that at the time. We had, like J.I. said, we had had a gentleman's agreement that if anyone ever got uneasy with the way things were going, all we had to do is call the other guys and we'd get back and start back where we'd left off. And we had a call waiting at the next job where they were going to go. And you know, we were looking forward to a call coming back from Buddy the next day, and we were going to say, "Hey, Buddy, you know, it's not working out like we thought it was."
Yeah, I wish we'd have stayed in New York with Buddy. Maybe it would have just changed stuff a little bit where Buddy wouldn't have been on the plane.
Now, the reason why I was not on that tour was because I was pregnant, and I was not feeling too well, and he would not want me there. He says, you know, it's not the best, so I was in bed most of the time. I was really not feeling too hot, and one of my aunts had come down to the apartment. He says, "Well," I said, what is this? This is I just wanted to check on you. And said, "Oh, well, I'm doing okay." But no sooner, you know, my aunt came in. I said, "Let's put the TV on." My aunt said, "No." I said, "Oh, no, I want the TV on." So when I turned the TV on, it was a picture of Buddy.
Well, I met a girl who sang the blues, and I asked her for some happy news. Ooh, she just smiled and turned away. And I went down to the sacred store where I'd heard the music years before. But the man there said the music wouldn't play. In the streets the children screamed, the lovers cried and the poets dreamed, but not a word was spoken. The church bells all were broken, and the three men I admire most, the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, why, they caught the last train for the coast the day the music died. They were singing with us, "Bye, bye, Miss American Pie." Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. that I die. This will be the day that I die. They were singing, my life is American pie. Rode my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. Them good old boys are drinking whiskey and rye, singing, this will be the day that I have a big applause for the Crickets. Fantastic. Let's have some applause for the Jordanaires here, too.
Buddy Holly and the Crickets. A tribute will continue.
Memories will follow me forever.